Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Friday, October 31st. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
The glow of candles, the sound of poems, and the wait of 6 long months without answers.
Our search for Jack and Lily will always push through.
Outside this RCMP detachment where a memorial for Jack and Lily sits, more than a dozen people came together to mark what should have been a celebration, Jack's 5th birthday.
Wherever he's at, I hope he knows he's loved. I hope Lily knows she's loved. We've never stopped loving her.
It was a quiet but emotional evening, filled with tears, memories, and hope.
All the days are kind of the same. You wake up and you go to sleep with the same thing on your mind, and you just want the answers, and we have nothing.
Family members read poems, and new stuffed animals were dropped off, joining the growing tribute that stood here for months.
Keep searching, keep pushing for answers. Because if we don't push, it's gonna go away.
For Jack and Lily's stepfather, just being here was both comforting and difficult.
I wish I was there for his 5th birthday, but you know, I'm not and I can't be. At least we have everyone gathered together to celebrate his birthday.
RCMP officers also attended, not to speak about the investigation, but to stand with the community.
The memorial site is out front of our office here, so we see it on a daily basis, and the members are concerned, they care, and again, they just want to be here to support everyone that's here.
The memorial that stood outside the RCMP detachment since shortly after the siblings vanished will soon move indoors for the winter to a storefront in nearby Alma.
We're going to house it and keep the light on in the lighthouse and stuff, and hopefully shine the way home for Jack and Lily to come back to Victor County.
The vigil may have ended, but for those who love Jack and Lily, the waiting continues. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Stellarton.
Quarter of a century, high school sweethearts Richard and Diane Kitching have been living the good life in Jamaica. Richard's son Jason and daughter-in-law Janine often visit the couple's island home.
They've got a view of the coast from where they live. It's like what everyone dreams about doing. Let's just retire and move to Jamaica.
Richard, a former London firefighter, and Diane fell in love with Jamaica during vacations in the 1980s and 90s. Early retirement allowed them to move there. Over the ensuing years, the couple has ridden out several hurricanes, but never a direct hit. As Melissa approached Category 5, there was fear it could be more threatening. Jason checked in frequently. At noon Tuesday, Diane told her son the winds were high but manageable. 90 minutes later, the situation had changed dramatically for the worse.
It was quite a frantic call. At that time, they were underneath the house because the roof had blown off already and all the windows had been blown out.
As seen on this map, the couple's home lies on the southeastern tip of the island, atop a steep mountain, leaving them few areas to hide. In their last communication with Jason, he learned his parents had moved to take shelter under a concrete porch.
They were quite frightened, and they were trying to make their way to the building we call the bunker.
Seconds later, Jason said the phone went dead. He has not heard from his parents since.
I'm just waiting on bated breath to hear their voices and tell me that they are okay.
If they have food, if they have water, if they have a place to rest their heads, like we don't know.
Desperate for information, Janine has contacted every agency available.
I don't know if there's a world where there can be a helicopter that goes to their mountain, but I'm just doing everything I can.
So far, the couple has been told it could be days, if not weeks, before communications are restored.
My dad is quite a resourceful man.
He's MacGyver.
He's a MacGyver.
If anyone can get through this, it's Richard.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Accused of orchestrating the kidnapping and murder of his ex-girlfriend, Elnez Haj-Tamiri, Mohamed Lilo stood in a Barrie courtroom today for what was supposed to be the start of his sentencing hearing. A jury found Lilo guilty of aggravated assault against Haj-Tamiri 3 weeks prior to her abduction from a home in Wasaga Beach. The proceedings adjourned when the Crown Attorney told the court Lilo's hearing couldn't proceed today, citing new developments in the case. Lilo, who's been in jail for 3.5 years, is charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping Haj Tamiri. His murder trial is set to begin in the spring. The allegations against him have not been tested in court. In June, the 38-year-old from the Montreal area was found guilty by a Barrie jury of hiring several men to follow, hurt, and kidnap Haj Tamiri. Police said it all started when Haj Tamiri dumped Lilo 4 years ago. Obsessed with Haj Tamiri and determined to get her back, Lilo, the court heard, sent men to watch, assault, and kidnap her as she walked to her car in the parking garage of her Richmond Hill apartment. The kidnapping plan failed when a passerby interfered. Haj Tamiri was left bloodied by a frying pan to the forehead. The man who hit Haj Tamiri pleaded guilty in June to assault with a weapon. His co-accused, who recorded the attack on his phone, pleaded guilty in late 2022 and was deported to India. Another co-accused, Sukhpreet Singh, who was wanted on a Canada-wide warrant since 2023, was arrested in June by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in San Antonio, Texas. While hiding with loved ones weeks after the failed kidnapping, Haj Tamiri was taken from a Wasaga Beach home on the night of January 12, 2022, by 3 masked men claiming to be police officers with a warrant for her arrest.
Someone knows these men.
Loved ones said Haj Tamiri's SUV was found to have tracking devices on it. She hasn't been seen or heard from since. Lilo's sentencing hearing is scheduled to begin in February. Mike Arsledy, CTV News, Barrie.
Give us, a 35% increase. I'm more than willing to accept that.
The president of the union representing City Hall's inside workers says a committee's recommendation that councillors' base pay rise 35% next term to $94,000 sets new expectations for his members' compensation.
Our contract ends next year, so yes, absolutely, that would be something that we would bring up because, again, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
This week, a committee backed recommendations from a task force regarding base pay and top-ups for standing committee chairs, the deputy mayor, and budget chair. But then it went one step further, adding up to 4 weeks severance pay for councillors who fail to be re-elected. Deputy Mayor Sean Lewis rejects QP 101's argument about parity.
We don't have all of the benefits of union rights. We don't even have EI, which union members do. We're not covered by WSIB, those sorts of things. So frankly, he's comparing, apples to watermelons.
Lewis suggests a better comparison is with council members in other municipalities.
Hamilton, Burlington, Brampton, Ottawa, Toronto. When you look at the single-tier municipalities, London councillors will still be among the lowest paid.
We're underpaid. We aren't paid as much as others. So if you really want to use that, then when we bring it up in bargaining, please also support us.
The report from the task force describes the position of a councillor as a full-time service role, but acknowledges there's no legislation requiring them to work a minimum number of hours, nor are they prevented from holding an outside job.
It is a part-time gig. It will still continue to be a part-time gig. There are some that barely do a part-time gig as well. So I think we really need to look at that.
This is a full-time responsibility and a full-time job. And yes, I do expect people who put their name on a ballot to make a full-time commitment for the next 4 years.
Council will make a final decision about its compensation and potential severance pay next term at its meeting on November 4th. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
2 years after Robbie Thompson disappeared, a major break.
Information came to light that led investigators to the conclusion not only that Robbie Thompson was deceased, but that he had been a victim of murder.
The Smiths Falls man was last seen in eastern Ontario in October 2023. Ontario Provincial Police have now charged Christopher Fenton and Aaron Mackey, both of Montague Township, along with Joshua Belfiore of Kingston with first-degree murder.
Whether they knew Robbie or not, that'll be part of the information that is heard in court once the matters proceed. So it's been a major project involving a lot of parties from both Smiths Falls Police and the OPP.
Thompson's body has not been found, and police would not say what led to the charges. On Thursday, a heavy police presence at a property northeast of Smiths Falls relating to the investigation.
Conducting multiple searches and following every lead.
Last month, police offered a $50,000 reward for information.
Whether it was one of those tips or an earlier tip that led to this or whether any of those tips actually led to the arrests. I can't get into those details, but we do appreciate any information that people did provide, and we are still encouraging people to come forward with any information, because even though we have made these arrests, the investigation is not over.
None of the allegations have been tested in court. 2 other men from the area, including one who was later found dead, were also reported missing. Police have not linked the cases. Police say residents of Kelly Jordan Road can expect to see a heavy police presence there for some time.
J'ai pris la décision déchirante de quitter mes fonctions de ministre.
It was a bombshell departure few saw coming. Lionel Carmont said he made the heart-wrenching decision to leave his role as Social Services Minister over the controversial new doctor's law. He will finish his term sitting as an independent.
Les dernières semaines ont été difficiles et m'amènent aujourd'hui à recentrer mes priorités. Je fais le choix de ma famille.
Carmont says the last few weeks have been difficult and have led him to refocus his priorities. So the Taillon MNA has chosen his family. Carmont's resignation comes a day after his daughter, Dr. Laurence Carmont, wrote a letter to Le Devoir. The subspecialist says she has no choice but to leave the province if the government doesn't allow her to practice freely. Bill 2 ties a portion of doctors' pay to how many patients they see, and there are penalties if they don't follow the law.
C'est pas facile à la maison.
On Wednesday, Carmont said it complicated his home life, saying his daughter and wife, who is also a doctor, were angry with the special legislation. The Federation of Medical Specialists was in Sherbrooke protesting the law and says they understand Carmont's decision.
The bureaucrats will decide which patients are vulnerable, how and when we should see them, how and when we should treat them, and then if we don't do what they say, they're going to slap us with fine.
Carmont made the emotional announcement standing beside Premier François Legault. The pair are friends and have been together since the beginning of the CAQ.
Je comprends le déchirement qu'il vit actuellement avec sa famille.
Legault says he understands the heartbreak Carmont is experiencing, saying family comes first. Later in the afternoon, Legault introduced Carmont's replacement. Sonia Bélanger is the new Minister of Social Services and Seniors. Caroline Proulx will now be in charge of housing. Despite the departure of another member of his party and potentially hundreds of doctors, Legault will not backtrack on the law.
Even the people having a family doctor, a GP, nobody is available on night and on weekends in many GMF. So we have to change things. If we continue doing the same recipe, we'll get the same bad cake.
Before sharing a hug, Legault said Carmont is a man of exceptional value. Other politicians agree, saying they are sad to see him go, but respect his integrity. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Quebec City.
A special ceremony at the Sunnybrook Veterans Center this morning for the launch of the annual Poppy campaign.
Makes me think of my old shipmates. They're long gone, but not forgotten.
A day to reflect, remember, and learn.
I think it's really good that we're continuing to remember what's happened from the past.
It really just teaches you to see the world in a different way.
The Honourable Edith Dumont, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, received the first Poppy.
They protected our values, so I think we have a space today to appreciate the work of the veterans and how we can nurture their stories so the next generation will understand that we are fortunate to be Canadians.
And retired Major General Richard Romer received the second.
I did 135 missions in my fetter and get shot at all the time.
Major General Romer, who is now 101 years old, has received many awards for his valor and bravery in battle during World War II, including the Distinguished Flying Cross.
It's important to keep all of these memories going, all these actions and all the sacrifices made. It's so long ago.
The Royal Canadian Legion's campaign, which runs from the last Friday in October until November the 11th, sees millions of Canadians purchasing poppies, which serve as a symbol of remembrance, a visual pledge to honor those who have served and sacrificed. The poppies themselves are free, but donations are welcomed. The funds used to support veterans and their families.
A lot of the funds that are raised save lives. We have so many programs for veterans, including service dogs. We have a huge homeless veterans program here in Ontario.
A campaign Canadians can stand behind for the men and women who stood up for our ideals and values. Janice Golding, CTV News.
When the 21 First Nations of the Robinson-Huron Treaty were awarded $10 billion in a landmark annuities case, a 5% contingency fee meant that its team of lawyers would receive $500 million. Only representatives for Atikameksheng and Garden River First Nations stood up. Now that fee will be just $40 million.
If the settlement was far less, let's say $300 million, then 5% might be fair for the legal fees. But a $10 billion award, this should have been reviewed, it should have been assessed, as opposed to, it's about fairness, and that was not a fair approach.
Despite challenging the fees for their legal team, they have nothing but positives to say about the lawyers that secured the $10 billion settlement.
Knowing that there were 15 to 17 of the nations within the Robinson-Huron Treaty territory that would get less than what that law firm was getting. And this whole process was all about and for the benefit.
Praise has started coming in for the two nations after triggering the process that would leave $487 million more for the area's 40,000 beneficiaries. Right now, relief is mostly what these leaders are feeling.
It's been a long 2.5 years. Like I said, we've been talking about, the potential of a $500 million legal fee for a long time in different settings, and that you carry a lot of weight because that's never been done before.
A lawyer representing the legal team for the Robinson-Huron Treaty Litigation Fund called the slashing of the lawyer fees disappointing in a statement to CTV News, also saying Ontario Superior Court Justice Fred Meyer's decision flew in the face of the litigation fund's firm belief that the legal team should be compensated in keeping with the fee structure that had been carefully negotiated. An appeal of Judge Meyer's decision is being contemplated. It would address his central findings as well as several negative inferences made about counsel. The legal team has already been paid $255 million. Justice Myers has ordered that all but $23 million be returned to the trust. First Nations leaders believe that the return and any possible appeal should be figured out in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Garden River.
Premier Wab Kinew promised to hire more healthcare professionals to fix healthcare in this province. It appears that is happening.
It's been an exciting 2 years. We've had 2 record years of increase in physician numbers here in Manitoba.
A new report from Doctors Manitoba says the province saw a net increase of 164 physicians last year. So we now have 225 doctors per 100,000 people, a 2.5% bump, moving Manitoba closer to the national average.
Which means we're getting closer to finding a family doctor for every Manitoban and shortening wait times for specialist services like diagnostics.
Doing the work to make healthcare in Manitoba a much more attractive place for physicians to work.
But not all is well. There is a doctor shortage across the country, and retention is a major issue here. The report found 43% of doctors are considering reducing hours, retiring, or leaving Manitoba in the next 3 years. 40% of students and residents are planning on leaving or are undecided. 56% of doctors are experiencing distress and 48% burnout. Doctors Manitoba say patient wait lists and burdensome paperwork, like sick notes, are taking a toll on doctors.
We're being asked to do more, but we're not actually being given more support or more resources to provide those patient services.
The health minister says they will keep taking the pulse of doctors.
We're committed to continuing to listen to doctors, take steps like further reducing their administrative burden, innovating healthcare, and making our healthcare system more modernized so that they're excited to practice in Manitoba.
The report says as of April 30th, Manitoba now has 3,498 doctors.
A man who was in a physical altercation with Misha Pavlik the night he died in May of 2006, taking the stand here at Court of King's Bench during the second-degree murder trial of the man accused of killing him. Jury members hearing from Andrew Perkins testifying he was allegedly hit with a glass bottle twice at a graduation party on May 21st, 2006 near Last Mountain Lake. Perkins was dating Pavlik's former girlfriend at the time. Telling the Crown he remembers seeing fleeing Pavlik hit him with a glass bottle while standing near the bonfire. After falling to the ground, Perkins says he remembers getting up and starting to punch and kick Pavlik. Once the fight stopped, he proceeded to go look for his hat, then was hit by a bottle again, but says he could not remember who hit him. Through cross-examination, the defense said Perkins was considered a suspect by RCMP until 2021, which Perkins confirmed. Perkins said he knew the accused through his friend Scott Nelson, who had previously pleaded guilty to stabbing another man that same night. Nelson also testifying earlier in the trial. During opening statements, the Crown told the jury they will not hear witnesses say they saw the accused directly stab Pavlik, adding, from the testimony of around 50 witnesses, the jury will hear that the accused admitted to the offense at the time of the incident. The Crown's opening remarks is not evidence itself in the trial, which will continue here at Court of King's Bench on Friday. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Just as school was supposed to be getting back to normal, Henry Wisewood students walked out in support of their teachers.
They don't have fair payments. They don't have fair class sizes.
I felt really hurt, personally, by the actions that the government has been taking with the teachers.
Well, because education matters. It's like a basic requirement.
Students organized walkouts at dozens of schools all over the city and province. Students from downtown schools marched towards City Hall.
The government, they're over, they're abusing their power. They don't need to be doing that.
Many youth are protesting the legislation tabled Monday by the UCP government, which ended the almost month-long teacher strike, and the use of the notwithstanding clause, which allows the province to override charter rights.
They have less rights than me and Sergey here. They are less than because of the laws that have just been put into place.
Any teachers remaining off the job would risk punitive fines. They went back to work Wednesday. One labor expert says student demonstrations sends a pointed message to the province.
Oh, the poor kids. We have to think of the kids, right? And the kids are saying, or at least a good chunk of them, are saying, no, you're treating the teachers unfairly. I think that's an important counter message.
The ATA says students are also standing up for themselves. Provincial labor leaders say they will move more measured and slowly in organizing its response, which may come in a general strike.
Over the coming weeks and months, we will use all the tools at our disposal to remove them from government democratically.
The finance minister says it's unaware of illegal organized activity and will respond accordingly.